Ancient Soul Surfing Association. Ancient Soul Surfing Association. Let's talk a little bit about what that really means. So it's just a group of individuals, and I shouldn't say just, it's a group of individuals that look at the art of surfing, and surfing truly is a creative art form, just like you would have, let's say, the martial arts. And in a lot of ways, surfing embodies some of the moves of the martial arts and also some of the moves of yoga. And that is typified by, let's say, when you rise up on your hands to get up into a standing position. What is that first movement? That first movement is called the cobra, or the snake type movement, the cobra. And so basically what you have is a yoga movement in some of the movements of surfing. And there's a lot of other movements, dance movements, Tai Chi movements. Tai Chi being a martial art, slow moving, flowing chi, chi based. And when I say chi based, I mean the universal energy of that flows through the ether, or the spirit that moves in all things. So in the art of surfing, what do you do in most art forms? Like if you paint, or let's say you play music, you try to connect with source. You do connect with source if you're an excellent musician. And have you ever gone to a concert and watched it and just got taken away into some other realm or some other world, or just got out of body, or just felt like you were one with the musicians on stage? Well, that is a form of connecting to source when you're feeling that energy. So it's the same thing. If surfing is an art form, it encompasses creativity. So what are you doing when you're being creative on a wave? Let's say, what is that wave in the first place? That wave was born from the middle of the ocean, out of the cosmos, out of the natural order of things, out of the thunder beings, out of the what the Lakota call the Wakanyans, or the spirits of the heavens, bring down storms. And when the storms hit the sea, they cause concentric rings that move outward like spirits, rushing towards some distant shore. So as a surfer, or let's say, let's look at maybe the first ancient soul surfer. Ancient soul, I want you to get this now. Ancient soul surfer. Ancient Soul Surfing Association. When the first ancient soul surfer, and that could have been anybody or a group of people all at once, male, female, decided that as a ritual they were going to carve a surfboard out of a tree, or let's say they considered it maybe a small boat, so that they could go out and joyously be one with Ala Moana, the path to the sea. Moana, the goddess Moana, the oceanic goddess Moana. This is the way they looked at things. This was a sacred ritual. This was an act of unification of body, mind, and spirit. Now, a lot of surfers today, a lot of people in, let's say, the quote unquote sport, they get out and they have fun and they are very cognizant of, I think most are, of the body mind connection, because that has to work in unison for them to express themselves on a way. But they sometimes might forget the spiritual connection to all this, because they're out there just now, they may feel it. And when they do feel it, it's mostly something that maybe isn't predominant in their mind or they're not really aware of. So basically, when you go out into the waves, if you think of it in terms of like maybe that first ancient soul surfer, man or woman, doesn't matter, as a sacred act, and as your surfboard is actually a portal, or let's say a vehicle, to this other world of complete oneness with the goddess planet, with the cosmos, with the stars, with everything, with the wind. Because let's not forget, the waves were formed by the wind. So I don't want this to go into a long lecture or anything, but I just wanted to explain the precepts, the concept, really try to get that through. But it's not just riding a wave, it's not just going out and surfing, man. It's much deeper than that. It's a soul level thing, and soul means spirit. And that spirit or that soul or that ancient soul, let's say the ancient of ancients, even on a spiritual level, I'm not talking about God here, I'm talking about the original creative source, whatever that is. That is what you're feeling, and that is what you are in oneness with. You are in oneness with this divine creative act. And in Hindu, not to get too deep here, but in meditation and in advanced meditation and in Hindu philosophy and kriya yoga and Tantra yoga and things like that, remember I mentioned earlier that this is a yoga, this is a union. And when you have union, it is yoga. That's the name. That's the name for it in Hindu philosophy, union with the divine. This is the perfect combination of concepts. This is the perfect combination of concepts because you have the waves, you have the ripples that turned into waves, you have the actual energy, the rhythmic energy of the planet through the ocean. And so when we're talking about this association, these are the things that I want to try to impress upon people as to what will benefit them, not only on a health level, but on an emotional and spiritual level. Body, mind, spirit. A triune force, a trinity that empowers you and, is a symbiotic thing with the planet, with the waves, with the ocean, with the wind, with the elements. But not to get too involved in the, let's say, yes, the spiritual aspect or the sacred aspect is presented. Let's just not forget it. Let's have fun. Let's talk about techniques. Let's talk about surfing in general. Let's talk about nose riding. Let's talk about uh, just fun stuff, technique. But as soon as you start talking about that, you realize that it's all creative, it's all an art form, and you're tapping into creative energy. I think surfing is probably one of the few sports, or let's say activities that turned into a sport, that you don't need anybody else to enjoy it. All you need is you, your altar, okay, which is your surfboard or your vehicle or your way of entering into it, and then becoming one with the whole of the cosmos. Now, what are the benefits to doing this? What are the benefits to thinking in this manner, thinking about, your oneness with the ocean and the cosmos? Well, meditation and yoga is the final goal, or let's say the motivation for doing that kind of thing is not only just health health benefits on a physical level, but we're talking about going to other levels of consciousness, going to other levels of consciousness to a higher frequency. Well, what do you think's going to happen if you do that and you get out on a wave? You go into the ocean, you wade up to your knees, you lay your surfboard down in reverence and give reverence to the ocean, and then you go out there and you're feeling more like in tune. You're more in tune. You will get better waves, you will ride them better, and you will have a protection as well. Because I have a theory that anybody that hurts or drowns on a wave is probably somebody that wasn't aware of these different type of energies and protection and spirits that move about in the ocean. Now, let's have fun with this, people, and I'm gonna be doing. I might post some clips on here, or I might not. I usually record these things and then I edit them and I decide what I'm going to do later. But this was just something that I felt I needed to talk about. To the people that enjoy surfing and that are into surfing, and the connection here. We're talking about an indigenous peoples with ritual and honor to Great Spirit, the great. And that is the same as in the indigenous cultures of North America, the Lakota, the Hopi. And so that's an indigenous culture too. In fact, there's strong evidence that the Polynesians may have been related to the Hopi tribe, or let's say the first Anasazi migrational type tribe that appeared in North America. And we don't know how many thousands of years, but there is strong evidence that the Polynesian race came over here on reed boats and other kinds of boats and navigated the beautiful starry skies and trusted in the creator of the universe, or the ancient soul, and arrived here on North America and migrated out. So it's all one thing. And when you get into ritual, you are anything that is like, say, meditation is a ritual. Going into the ocean with your board and the act of, let's say, catching a rip to go out, realizing that you don't have to fight to get out. You just catch Mother Nature. You just jump on a rip. Okay? You get into a riptide. And there's always a riptide because when water comes in, it has to go out. When water comes in, it has to go out. It recedes out, it creates a channel, and you find the channel. This is just an example of being, in tune here. That's all this is. It's also a lesson for those of you who are new to surfing. In fact, I might sit around and talk about a lot of different pointers that, I as a surfer learned. And I have been surfing since I was 12 years old, off and on, okay, the whole time. So uh, there are some pointers that I could give you when doing these videos. And that's one. It relates to being in tune with the flow, in tune with the flow. And so if you go up to the beach, you're reverent, you lay your board down and you're in tune with the flow, you notice things like, hey, there's a river going out and there's a bunch of waves coming in. And the river is the riptide. So you get into the river and you ride the river going out to sea. And a lot of people are afraid of doing that because they're afraid of, like, am I going to get caught in a riptide and pulled out into the middle of the ocean? And no. The best way to think about that is you're in a river, and then when you get out past where the break is, when you get outside, it would be like just like if you were in a canoe going down a river, you just slowly move over to the side and get off on the shore. Well, the shore is the calm water out beyond the waves. It's the calm water out beyond the waves. You're out of the rip. Most rips dissipate anyway. The whole purpose of the rip is for the water to get back out into the ocean. It just doesn't go the other way against the natural momentum of things and take you clear out to Tonga or something, some island, although that would be nice. So that concept of what I'm talking about here, becoming one with the ocean, that's a perfect example. Now, what about other examples? What about the rhythm of ocean? What about how many waves are come in a rhythmic set? Is it 9? Is it how many waves come in a set? And when you feel that energy moving in, do you immediately become one with it? That's why I like longboarding. And to me, the longboard is the true surf stick of the soul surfer. And man, we could talk about that for hours, but there's so many things that you can do on a longboard that you can't do on a shortboard. Just a real easy comparison here is a lot of guys, most guys on shortboards are like skateboarders. And they like doing these radical end over end things and jumping up and landing and doing all that kind of stuff. Basically, kind of like gymnastics or something of that nature. More concentration on the gymnastics of the whole thing. Then when they get out on a wave, they do it. They do the same thing. They spin the board around in the air and they do all that kind of stuff, which takes coordination and is a gymnastic type thing. But let's go to the longboard here for a minute. And when I'm talking about soul surfers, I'm also talking about longboarding back in the 60s and 70s, because most of the guys had that concept in their mind naturally as to before all the influx, okay, of hundreds and hundreds of new surfers came in with their new ball game. These guys were out here being in tune with the original spirit of the thing, which came from Hawaii and Duke Kahanamoku and his brothers, and the Polynesian chain and the Hawaiian chain of islands and all that stuff, and where this stuff was originally born. That's what the surfers of the 60s and 70s were thinking about, basically. And as they were becoming one with the waves, you had all kinds of guys that were, let's say, in tune, so in tune that their surfing looked like a ballet. Guys like Mickey Dora and Phil Edwards and guys like that, their surfing was a ballet, and they kind of tiptoed up to the nose and just stood there a long time, and of course cross-stepped back and did the drop knee turns and the wide bottom turns coming back up to the first third part of the wave, stalling out, walking the board. And there's guys that can walk the board up to the nose, turn around, walk the board back to the tail, turn around again, walk to the middle of the board, turn the board around. I'm talking longboarders here. Guys like, I think his name is Alex Nost, that turn the whole board around and go skeg first in the wave and then turn it back around again just with their legs. So this is a form of ballet. This is a form of martial art. This is a form of extremely perceptive, and you have to be in total oneness with the wave to do that. As you're riding the energy, you're doing a dance with it, only it's more of a ballet. It's not like a skateboarder just ripping the waves up, ripping them to shreds, and just it's I don't know. It's a whole different mindset. So I'm not saying that the Ancient Soul Surfing Association is like, all you guys with short boards, you don't count. No, it's not what I'm saying at all, because it's the reverence, you know. The jury's out on that. Can you have reverence for a wave while you're out there doing backflips? And a lot of that stuff originated as here's another thing you gotta realize about surfing. There's egos involved, just like any other activity on the planet. There's egos involved, and these egos like to show off, or these egos like to run up to the nose and make sure that everybody's watching over here. Make sure that a bunch of guys are coming out, and then you're going to take off and you're going to run up to the nose, and you're going to plant 5 or 10 and just stand there and cruise and trim or whatever. Are you doing that for the people that are watching you to just say, hey, look, dude, look how cool I am? Or are you actually feeling the oneness with the ocean and the connection, and everything else seems to be maybe irrelevant? All right, not saying you don't have to keep situational awareness up as far as other bodies bobbing around in the water. Yeah, you want to keep your situational awareness up, because invariably, as you're making your way on the wave, or trying to be one with it, somebody will get in front of you, and then you have to get real artistic with that situation, or somebody will take off in front of you when you're having this attunement, okay, with that particular wave, catching it, being one with it, knowing right where the peak is, right where the perfect, the perfect path, timing, all that stuff. You're taking off on a peak, and what do you got? You got a guy just taking off on the wave in front of you, and he's not even looking. He doesn't even look over his shoulder to see that you're barreling down on him. Now, I know we're all guilty of that. It gets to be, out there, it gets to be territorial sometimes, and has gotten to be. This association that I'm talking about here tries to bring peace, okay, and a different, let's say a respect and a sacred viewpoint of the ocean, as well as for one another, okay, having respect for one another. So if you're in this association, that's going to be something that is constantly in your mind about your oneness with humanity and your oneness with the ocean and your oneness with everything in the ocean and everything around you. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to do like the ocean does. It goes with the flow. And if you take off on a wave and you are coming down and you see somebody take off in front of you, what's going to be your attitude about that? I'll leave that up to you. I'll leave it up to you, and we may touch on this more later in other videos and do a little bit deeper dive into the psychology and the let's say the belief systems and duality and non-duality and black and white and right and wrong in anything. But that's exactly what this association is for, is to bring those kind of things up and reflect. Now, this would be an awesome thing to spread around the world in the surf community. This is way overdue. And this doesn't, this is not like some religious organization that excommunicates people or kicks them out of the community or has some kind of elitist, highbrow, let's say, I'm more important because I'm more spiritual or whatever. That's not what this organization is about. This organization is about learning and wisdom and teaching and accepting and being at attunement or at one-ment with the natural order of things through Moana, the goddess Moana. Moana actually means sea. Ala Moana means path to the sea. I spent a lot of time in Ala Moana, by the way, when I was in Hawaii, and that is a very mystical, let's say, inspiring, spirit-receiving place. So, anyway, I think I covered a lot of things today just surf talk. That's all this is. This is surf talk. But also I'm trying to get a point across here about your frame of mind and how you relate to other people and how you relate to the ocean. Don't just make it a routine. Get my board off the car and I'm going to go out and catch a few waves and do this and that. No. That's not the attitude you want. You want a reverent attitude. You want body, mind, spirit. Soul surfing, body, mind, spirit. Surf talk. Surf talk. It is a ritual. It has its own language. It is born out of the indigenous man on this earth. The Polynesians and the Hawaiians, the indigenous man, the oneness of it all. This is the kind of thought that needs to be propagated in the surf community. And this is good for everybody. This isn't just about the surf community, it relates to everybody, but this is just an avenue for that to happen. So anyway, I guess I've rambled on enough here. Think about the things I said in relationship to surfing and in life in general. We all are surfers. We surf the cosmos, we surf the ether of life, we surf the soup, okay? And so that's something to think about. Adios.